Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Octavia, could you please call the roll?
Lindsay Spencer.
She's absent.
I'm sorry, this is my first time doing this.
Okay.
Since Chris Pulliam,
Here.
Bridget Berglund. Here. Annie Perrin. Here. Christine Malia. Here. Am I pronouncing it right? Maya.
You got
Alderwoman Harder.
Here.
Alderwoman Tyus. Here. And then Andy Burkham.
Here. Thank you. Any changes to the agenda? Entertain a motion to approve.
So
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. No citizens present. Committee and chairperson reports. I don't have anything this week or this month. Anyone else? Any committee member reports? All right, staff report. Okay, so you're
First and foremost, for those who haven't met Octavia, Octavia is our new deputy clerk.
Just use our clerk.
City clerk, I'm sorry, I took away the clerk, city clerk, or city clerk. Octavia hates me for a long time. Octavia used to be the city clerk, before moving on. You go first, go to first and first.
I only went.
I only went first.
Yeah. That's
See, Octavia was dead to me when she left.
Eric's got over it.
It's the season for the Dead Rising.
Octavia has been wonderful when she was here before, and I look forward to having her in this committee again. Now Kelly's been, so Octavia's not. Kelly's been, it's just the way it goes.
There's only so much room in Eric's office.
So stable September, just kind of a wrap up of that. We did have we thought a really good stable September, something that we could build on each year. Obviously the highlight was the goats and Memorial Park. Hopefully you guys had a chance to go out and see them. They honestly only did a cross section because of timing and the number of goats they had. So that's something we're going to continue to do next year. We can do it earlier in the year, but we like the idea of maybe continuing the sustainable September. That's kind of an initiative, and using them again in September, just making sure that we got them scheduled a little bit more.
So aside from the good feels and stuff, what did our parks veg guys, what did they think of the outcome?
I mean, ultimately, we've all seen the goats work before, but the area they're in, they completely cleared out. So staff is coming through now with new plantings and
Good.
make sure that they kind of clear out any of the stumps that were left. But we put some before and after pictures on social media, and it's pretty incredible what they did from where they started and where they end. So they do a good job. They know what they like the bad stuff, which is even better. And so it's an interesting way of kind of doing that. So good. What do they need with that? Other things that we did the Black Creek stream cleanup, which I think was pretty good. We got a lot of people come out, which is wonderful. A number of people in this room, so we thank you. I went all the way down to Oak Tree and worked my way back, and everyone else is kind of moving forward. Good news is, there's not as much as in years past, which means, everything we're doing continues to help. Ironically, the school district sustainability club reached out. They wanted to do a stream cleanup, and so we're like, hey, we got Black Creek, we got Deer Creek. They couldn't come out. Yeah, they couldn't come out the week we were doing it, and they came out, and the teacher was like, well, we walked the creek and we didn't find much, so we're going to find something else to do, which is good. Sorry we didn't get to use them, but it's good that they're not finding a whole lot in there. We'll continue to kind of do those things, which we liked. We gave away about 40 trees on Plant a Tree Day, which we could have done more. We've worked with. I've had a couple meetings with Forest Relief about maybe how we could make that a little bit better next year, and kind of get people to sign up and maybe even tie it to Brentwood Days where we actually do the giveaway that day. Sign up ahead of time. You're at Brentwood Days. Come get your tree while you're at Brentwood Days. Things like that.
Yeah.
We did it on the 28th because it was specifically Plant a Tree Day. There's multiple Plant a Tree Days. Every day can be Plant a Tree Day. So I think we can say we're celebrating it by doing it at Brentwood. That's kind of what our thought is next year. We did the Home Depot program, a lot of people got their raised garden beds and seemed to like that. And obviously, Brentwood Days, some things that we really enjoyed was parade was our theme, Live Green, Love Brentwood. We did have a couple new banners that celebrates the city's sustainable work. If you came by, hopefully you saw them. One of the things that was my favorite thing of the whole weekend, and I'm terribly sorry I don't have better pictures, but taking Annie's idea of how we get kids to talk about how they be sustainable and what they did at the zoo in New York, we went in a different route. Luckily, people a lot less more creative than I came up with our sustainable tree. So I put the picture in there, but you don't see it. It's kind of what our marketing person put up, and then we had just little paper leaves that people could write on and stick up, and it was great. I mean, this tree was completely full on Friday night. We had actually flipped it around and drew a new tree for Saturday. We're like, okay, can't wait to take pictures. So then the rain came and second guessing ourselves, obviously, but I think a couple people who came by on Friday night, you know, Alderman Tyson's there. Hopefully the effect was pretty cool. We got about 30 different ways kids spell the word recycle. Fun as well.
Take that to the school district.
But
You can read the word recycle. We knew
You knew
what
what it was, yeah.
So
but
every school teacher.
adults even got into it.
It's all.
My favorite leaf was the person who probably had a little to drink, but basically said that when he dies, he'll return to dust. All right, so he's being sustainable. But it was really kind of cool to see it be placed on the, you know, all the leaves get placed on the tree and kind of see the tree grow. And again, that was really kind of cool. And I thank Andy for coming up with that idea, and it was really kind of fun.
And you let the grown-ups participate.
He did. Yeah, they really wanted to get. So, and then last was, it would have culminated with our drone show, which I still think is pretty cool because the drone show actually highlights some of our sustainable initiatives. We couldn't have the drone show this year, but we are going to reschedule it for next year, Brentwood Days with the same show. So it gives us an excuse to kind of do a sustainable theme again. You know, we work on the trees and things like that. But I'm really excited about the show. The show is, I think, pretty cool.
It's early.
Yeah.
I mean, you can act. So it goes from different scenes from scene, you guys won't forget it, so by next year, but one is like solar panel. One is the ripple glass, we have the water tank, this water storage tank. And each of it's kind of basically an eagle, the Brentwood eagle kind of flies from scene to scene as it goes to sustainable. And it was really kind of cool, so we're excited about that. We'll be excited about that next year.
So you can save some money on the design costs for next year.
We do, actually, they're rescheduling.
Next year.
Yeah, the show is being rescheduled for next year completely.
Awesome.
And then a couple of us went to Wash U to tour the fast charging depot, which was really kind of a fun day. Again, I put a picture of the depot in there. The best thing for me is Phil Balco, who we've worked with before, but he's the assistant vice chancellor for sustainability. Kind of gave us a tour and basically opened up everything to us and to me. He's like, look, if you want our RFP, if you want to know the companies that we reached out to, if you want to know some of these things, just shoot me an email. I'll be happy to kind of spread that information. So he'll be a great sort of resource in the future if we ever do anything like this. They also have their electric shuttle fleet in action. So when we are in process of replacing Magic Bus, we're going to look to see if that is a possible option for the city. And that would be next year. So we're working on that kind of right now, trying to figure out what they had. That's pretty big. So we're gonna see if they have a smaller size. But it was
Bus itself, you mean the vans that they use?
yeah. The depot was really interesting to see in my mind, and you know, I kind of put the thought is as we maybe design our new public works building, do we put something similar inside our building? Is that something we can do? At the very least, can we put it, design it, put it as a bit alternate to see what the cost would be for that? And if we get it designed, can we start looking for some grants to maybe add? Because it'll be more expensive to do that, but if we can find some grants for that, is that something we do? So, I know, Chris and Alderman Tyson there, do you guys have anything else to add to, that day?
No, I think you hit on it, Eric. You know, what's interesting, I wonder if it's possible that when, we get ready to replace the Magic bus, that WashU is ready to get rid of a couple of their buses, and they might still be in a useful condition. So it's just something to think about.
Write it down.
Yeah, the photo did a nice job capturing it, but the trucks just came in and they charged and they're great in the winter when it's a little cooler outside. The building isn't heated per se, but it keeps it cooler than or warmer than in the outside, so the batteries don't drain. It was really pretty remarkable.
So,
And they, all sorts of things, like just how the cord hangs. They did a lot of stuff that, they set it all up, they didn't realize, oh yeah, the cord is really heavy, and so when we have the drivers come, how are we gonna design it? So a lot of that stuff that they're willing to share with us.
Yeah.
Will be really, it's not just bids, but it's just even design, things like that. So it's super, it was a really interesting day.
Yeah, lessons learned, everything, that they're great. We find this with municipalities, everyone wants to share what they're doing.
yeah,
Make everyone better, and it's nice to know that WashU is kind of that same mindset, so.
so I'm curious if they, like putting it inside, did they always keep their shuttles inside and now they just added charging, or is that part of like?
No.
I wonder if that was part of why did they choose it?
When they talked about the depot and doing a fast charger, they're trying to figure out where the best location would be for it. And they happened to I forgot whether they bought it or they already had control of basically this building. And it's kind of a warehouse type building already, so it was easy for them to just kind of. Not really gut, because there wasn't much in there, but transform it into, or reuse it as kind of the depot.
And it has solar on the roof.
Yeah, so the solar helps. Helps with some of the electricity, but they basically said that the reason they wanted to go inside was to kind of keep it out of the elements, and I think by doing that, that will extend the life
And everything, yeah, sure.
of everything from their vehicles to the charging equipment.
Vandalisms, I'm sure they have site security inside, but.
And then last but not least is Soul Smart. So we heard from both Soul Smart and Charging Smart that their project's been canceled as part of the new US Department of Energy's budget. So basically, both of them are saying, we were given a stop order, we have to stop. Like, we can't do anything else, we are stopped. Luckily, Soul Smart was like, well, we got a week, what can you do? Can we get you to silver? Can we get you to gold? And we were already at the ordinance that got us to silver, ready for the board meeting. Like, look, this is going to be approved next Monday. Like, fine. And they sent us the black.
We've got it, it's awesome.
So,
The front, you can see it.
yeah,
So
we officially got silver for Soul Smart. We kind of let both our TAs, the technical assistants, like, hey, if in 3 years, if things change and you guys get funding, and like, yeah, we'll be in touch. So that's kind of the thought. Good news is we don't have to do this just to get donation. We have kind of tool.
We already know what our goals, would be.
So we kind of have the framework of how to get from, each one, and what were some things that will make us better for both solar and for charging. So we'll keep working on those things. We're just don't get the cool plaques for it.
Yeah.
Are they all out of jobs?
And no, it's most of them we're doing it as part of a secondary job for someone, like our TA for Charge Smart. She was Tennessee Electric. She already worked for Tennessee. So most of them were working as part of the secondary part of their job. That's one thing I talked to both the TAs, like, no, we're not out of job. We don't get to work on this anymore. So we'll be our efforts will be redirected somewhere else within our organization.
Well, yeah, it's a shame that they're canceling it, but at least we enrolled, and we have, like I said, we have the tools, I guess, already to know what we should be for. So, and good job on achieving the silver. I think I guess we tied playing, but didn't get to meet him.
I had to-
Look how fast we did both of those, so I feel like we did win.
All in favor?
That's the narrative we're going with.
This was going way back to plant a tree, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Instead of doing like pick up the tree on Plant a Tree Day, I always like your social media posts. So if you could say, these are all the trees we planted, like leading up to Plant a Tree Day, I think that's pretty impactful, cause like the goat before and after got a lot of traffic, so if you want people to be like part of that post or.
Here's a baby tree, here's a big tree.
Yeah.
Or here's where I planted it in my yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, right.
Yeah. It would have been, yeah, it would have been cool to have, if we could coordinate, yeah, some of that follow-up, you know, with the people that say, hey, you know, like, send us an email, you know. Picked up a few.
Okay, are you planting them?
I planted in the park though.
Oh.
It was in.
Well, do you know where they are?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, can we take a picture now and then take
I
a
mean,
picture next year?
I did take some pictures.
Great.
It's park, it's all in the
They
trail.
don't know, okay.
Well, you
It's
can tell.
for-
It's like, oh.
Yeah, but for a progress picture.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, for next time, it's a good
Yeah.
idea to, again, for the engagement and also the, you know, sharing.
Allowed to just go plant a tree in the front.
No, you have to coordinate with the Parks Department.
You know the guy.
Timing was good, because they coordinated or the lineup of our videoing for since my son was born. So there were a lot of extra trees this time. Yes. But they all went to the park. It's a good thing they were all used. Okay.
So then any leftovers we put down in two places, in the wetland arboretum. We had a few spots that needed a couple more trees,
Good.
and then down Brentwood Park along the Sycamore Trail, along that hillside, so the hillside that kind of goes up. So we're still having a tough time getting trees to stay in the main area where it floods a lot. But upper on the hills, those trees are doing a little bit better, so we'll put some more up there, which will be good.
What was that? Sorry, Don.
Any other discussion on staff report items? Thanks for putting all that together. I really appreciate it. Okay, moving on to, let's see. The minutes for the last meeting.
So the minutes weren't actually included.
Okay.
You'll get both of them at the.
Okay.
next.
That's good. All right, so I'm sorry, getting this in. So. Old business, the public health, grants. Michelle, is this with you?
So, well, Eric knows more about the grant. We talked last time about looking into possibly using those funds to add like latex paint collection or medical equipment collection. I haven't had any luck finding any of the info on the medical collection, but I did reach out to Paint Busters, who had actually reached out to me previously, so she actually called me and I was like, perfect, I was going to call you. And so I got some information from her about what it would take for us to kind of utilize them for their services. And the cost to host a paint recycling event, there's a $500 activation cost, that's like a one-time fee. And then it's $500 per event. They do have a special that if you pay for one event, you get a second event free, which is great. It's a fee of $1 per pound of latex paint recycled, and that cost would be on the resident who drops it off. But so our recommendation is that we hold 2 latex paint recycling events a year, ideally in collaboration with either our shredding event or our electronics recycling event, just so that we're not, bogging up the parking lot a second Saturday in the month or anything like that. And then we would submit the latex paint recycling event to the county for reimbursement.
What would remind me was these funds were freed up basically, because why? Like it used to go to these, or this used to be the compost, is that what?
Yeah, we've used So Sales County does this grant every year, and there's no, I mean, basically, there's no deadline, it's just kind of a rolling grant. For when we have fun, so we have used it in the past for recycling containers. For the trash, for the sanitation, and then also for containers, so we're just, as we was brought this, Dan brought this, our public works director, he's usually the one who handles this, so like, we could do it, or we can try to do something new. And so this is kind of maybe something new
Okay.
that we could do that adds on to some of the other things that we've been doing. So that's why we thought maybe doing something like the paint recycling, because that, there had been some interest in that in the past. And one of the things that Michelle said is that the dollar per pound, they can actually bill us too, so we want to make it free, they just have.
And then we'll just include that in the money
Right,
that we pay out.
so at the end of the day, they'll just, paint busters will bill the city, we can then include that again on the reimbursement.
Do we know, I mean, for that first event, you know, not really sure what to expect, I guess, you know, we might get 100 pounds or 10,000 pounds. How do we, would there be a limit, you know, like?
I can ask them kind of about that, what our limit is, you know, for the shredding events, we limit 5 boxes per household, so we could feasibly limit to a certain number of pounds per household. So I can reach out to them and ask, you know, what those parameters are so that we know we're working within them.
Yeah, I just wanted to, you know, prevent the city from getting into the, you know,
Right.
committing to pay for it and then maybe the grant, you know.
Like we got something stuck in.
That's something.
Yeah. Might be a lot of pent up demand for paint too, I don't know.
So yeah, I can reach out to them and get some of those specific parameters. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to give it a shot, especially since one of the events will be free. We try it out for a year and see how it goes.
Yeah, I definitely think we should do this, and Eric has enough, Dan has enough recycle cards this year, and so we can try this. It's not a very expensive addition, so if it is really popular, it seems like something that the sustainability budget could handle in the future. And then if Dan needs to go back and get more recycle cards, which are, you know, we get more money from the county for it. But I think this is great, and I don't think we should, I think we should
Absorb the cost.
absorb the cost up to 3 cans, 5 cans,
Okay.
or
Yeah,
so many
so-
pounds.
So I'll reach out to Paint Busters and get some further info about the limitations, parameters, things like that. And then we'll look at kind of the timing, how they think, you know, we've got our quarterly events. So see how that works out time wise with coordinating, you know, so we obviously won't like every a 6-month span between them, so we'll figure that out.
Hey, Michelle, can you ask them what they've done in the past as far as historically with other communities like the size of ours?
Yeah, I can ask them.
So we kind of have an idea of what that might be.
Are you thinking like one in the spring, one in the fall, or?
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
And the other ones are quarterly, is that right?
Yeah, so we have shredding and electronics quarterly. So my initial thought was I wanna give us enough time to advertise it, so I'm not thinking our first event of the year. So probably the spring event, which is usually in May, and then we have like in November, December, either shredding or electronics, something maybe May, December. May, November, December, but I'll get all the details ironed out and then we can make the finalized stuff. That sounds great.
And honestly, one of the things we can do in talking to Dan is we can. I think there's a max on the grant that you can do, and I think we'll be well under that max. So what we could do is package all of our events, kind of like, hey, we do a lot of these recycling events, paper shred, electronics, paint, and see if we can get all of this year's paid for, and then try to maximize that grant. Because it is just, I don't want to say free money, but it's money that MSD does
Yeah.
every year, so.
And our recycling, those events are not super expensive, I think they're about 400 a piece.
They're very well received.
They're less than 500 a pop, so
When is the next recycling and?
shredding is November 1st.
Saturday.
And then electronics recycling is December 13th.
with that tomorrow.
Any other discussion on that? I think we been doing both for the recommendation.
My recommendation is we'll take it then to Public Works, because that usually has to get approval. The grant, what we would like for the grant usually gets approved at Public Works, so. So if you guys wouldn't mind giving us approval, we'll take it to Public Works.
So are we recommending to for the city to cover the cost of the event and the per pound? Second.
Up to a cap. I mean, I don't think we need to pay for a professional painter to run there.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as long as we limit per person, then that'll cover businesses or. You know, anything like that, so. And I think that's why we put the limit on like the shred event too.
If that's a motion, I'll make it.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you for pulling that all that together. I think it's gonna be a good addition to our programs. And I'm anxious to see what the response is like. See if we're surprised by the volume, like again, we were at the stuffed animals. All right, that's it for old business. New business, the sustainability toolkit.
Yeah, one of the goals for this year was to come up with a family sustainability toolkit. And so staff's been working on this for a while. We've gone through, to be honest, iterations that I liked and some that I didn't like, and it kind of got to the point where we had like almost a 5 to 10 page document that talks about how to be sustainable. And while it was great information, we just weren't sure how well it'd be received by kids. So we kind of went on this different route of some things that we've seen. And so it's basically almost a backpack that you can come check out. They'll have some books, they'll have trivia games, flashcards, family activities. And so that way you kind of, if you're interested, you can check it out, have it something from, hopefully enough where it's 3-year-old to 12-year-old. So that way, you can kind of do something with your family. If it's something you want to kind of get your kids involved in. We think we can kind of do this in for about $200 to start for the backpack. And then ultimately we'll need some money every year to replace the materials that are either worn out or lost or things like that. And so what we'd like to do is kind of, I digress a little too much, so I went too fast. While we're doing that, we saw this other toolkit, and I realized I hadn't put it in there, but I put an example in Diligent from the city of La Mesa. And it is basically a kind of a do-it-yourself kit that basically has everything that you might need in your home. So it's like a kilowatt meter to really focus on how much energy your appliances use. Infrared thermometer, it talks heat loss, refrigerator thermometer, drip gauge, water flow rate bag, water pressure gauge, and kind of the user guide, kind of step by step. And some of those even go as far as say, hey, here is 4 or 5 LED light bulbs. Here's weather stripping. Here's some gaskets to help with that. And it's really kind of cool. And so, it's not quite the family toolkit. But as we looked at this, we thought we can get that one if we want to do something like that. And then we'll try between $500 and $600 based on all the equipment you need. And then $100 per use for the restock with consumable materials. So we kind of came up with 2 different ideas of things that we thought would be really interesting. And so our thought process was, what would the commission like us to do? We could do the same with the family toolkit. We could do the other toolkit, both. I think putting it together wouldn't be too difficult and starting to get them advertised. So everyone's family, one as a homeowner, do it yourself. And I think we do both. If that's what we want to do. Startup cost isn't too bad. I think we can do it within the sustainability budget. And then ultimately we'll be kind of wrapping that forward as we go, that cost as we go forward. So that's the thought process on it. And what we're trying to see is be like one or the other or both. And then we'll start trying to get those things packaged together. And that way you can kind of roll them up at the beginning of the year.
Do you think Home Depot or Menards would donate some supplies if you have their name on the backpack or something like that?
That's a good idea. We thought about that, especially since, I think we should stick with Home Depot because they are in Brentwood.
Right.
It'd be bad to go to Menards or Richmond Heights. But I know that Home Depot actually did some stuff with the fire department, just recently, because I saw that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we might be able to work with them on that. That's, yes.
And we have two different colored bags, you know. How about with the new library over in school, would you have it there also?
That's an interesting question. I think it goes, a lot of the family one, a lot of it is checked out through, a lot of places I've seen those were checked out in the library.
I'm sure there'd be over to that.
We might be able to do that, yeah. If not, we can handle that pretty easily at our rec center. But it is an opportunity to work with the library and something like that as well.
It's more of a checkout. I mean, it's like,
Right.
probably, it fits with the library theme of like,
It does.
go there, check something out.
It does, yeah.
So let's give a microscope, and I just leave you.
We have,
They
they
have
have
stations.
they have fishing,
Really?
all sorts of things,
Fun.
yeah. So,
We're sure, we're kind of one-stop shop a lot.
yeah.
When I read that, it seemed like the two kids kind of cater to different age demographics of like a nighttime book versus a hands-on activity. So I don't know if there's a target audience that you wanna start with, like if you're trying to build a sustainability pipeline and you wanna get kids into the sustainability club, maybe you choose the hands-on activity. I don't know.
We're trying to make it, I mean, that's an interesting point. We're trying to make it where it kind of was broad appeal. What we could do is almost a preschool, a younger elementary school, an older elementary school. I mean, we could do multiple ones, and then gear that, the materials, reading materials in particular,
Yeah.
and the different type of activities for each one. We could do that.
With the sustainability club at the high school or wherever do you think they'd be involved? That might give them something.
We could use them as guinea pigs and just say,
Right.
do you hate this?
Make it a competition, like make a checklist using all those tools, go into your house, who can get the lowest scores thing, or you get it.
Yeah, we can work on
Which
it.
school was it that reached out about the creek thing? Going back
Yeah,
to-
it's their green club.
I mean, which age, like which grade?
This, high school.
High school, okay. Yeah, I missed that.
I mean, the energy guide, I don't think you'd have to have kids to wanna borrow that.
No, that's.
To go and like do that around your
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, that
I think
is-
people pay to get these
Yes.
studies.
It's basically doing your own little energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the energy audit thing is,
It's pretty cool. I mean, once we dove into it, I was like, wow, this is, and not that we like to steal things, but big fan of case study, not being to steal everything. So, I mean, what Mesa did, I mean, this guide really tells you how to use everything, tells you how to score everything. Ours will look a lot nicer because Sophie obviously will do, what is it? Pretty nice guy. He's a really nice guy. So I mean, it is something that we that was, I think the third or fourth one, we kept seeing these do-it-yourself audit kits, like, one was like 1,000 pages, it was a little bit too much, and I got to this one, like, holy cow, this is really kind of cool. It kind of got us excited to be able to kind of put that together.
Yeah.
When you look at I thought the interesting thing was like giving away the light bulbs, giving away the gaskets and things like that. Because if you do 4 or 5 light bulbs, that's not gonna be enough in your house. But it's kind of a nice thing, like, here, start. Like the gaskets, the flow meters, things like that. I could go either way on both of those. In some ways, like I said, it's nice to kind of show that we care as a city and say, hey, we'll help you in your journey. Just simply replace the bulbs.
But if Home Depot gives it free, it's fine.
That's true. If they'll give us a certain amount every year.
Or a little strip with,
Yeah, the weather tape,
tape or.
weather strip, yeah. So, I think what we just need. I'm trying to figure out if this would need to go to Public Works or not.
the suscom budget. So my little comment on the light bulbs, I think anybody who borrows this probably already is using LED light bulbs.
Good thing.
So like maybe buying stuff that we're gonna give away may not be the best use of dollars if Home Depot donates them, but I think I'd rather put together another kit than buy a bunch of light bulbs.
Yeah, like I said, okay, that makes sense.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna give it free, 1 or 2.
Yeah, then that. In how much autonomy does Susquehanna have?
I can find out for sure, but I mean, I think, we've done things that have not come to the public's approval. Ultimately, we're not talking about, I think I'd be a little more concerned if it was like thousands of dollars. But we're talking something that's easily within our budget. That we can kind of put together and start utilizing. I think what I do is kind of put as a sustainability report. And that's,
Reported at the next meeting.
yeah, and then if there's really some heartburn, then we find out at that point.
Well, I like the idea of the two separate ones, like one that's more. Educational for the kid, kid focused, I guess, more about, the learning side of what it means, and then. The other one that's, could be great to involve kids, but yeah, definitely had, it's mostly gonna be the adults doing it, like using it, but, I really like the idea of, just in general, the DIY energy audit essentially, because you can have people come in and, do that for you, but A, it's a pain. It's like, to get there's a way to get it done for free, it's reimbursement and whatever else, but you're also like, when you're doing it yourself, like you're learning about it a little bit more, you realize, I think it's just, you'll take away more from it, if you're actually, doing it that way. And I wasn't even sure honestly what the toolkits, when we saw that on our priority list, I wasn't even sure what that meant. I was thinking more of a one-off, like giving these things away, but I really like the idea of the checkout type thing, and hopefully get a lot more people to or it's more useful, like it's like real stuff you can use. You can actually put some money into what's in it, if they're bringing it back. Yeah, it's great ideas. I'm for both of them.
I also think that might be something, a video on the Facebook page of like, hey, I checked out this backpack, here's how all this stuff works.
Yes.
Like.
Unboxing.
I was gonna say, one of the ways that really people love people on social media, not things. One of the ways that might be kind of fun to get our leadership, our government leadership involved, you guys, is having different people like demo different things, like if you're the mayor, like demoing the, refrigerator energy audit or something like that, like people love that stuff, you'd get a lot of attention on it.
We can work on that. We can see. I'm not invited to elected officials homes for very good reasons. But I'm sure Michelle has enough.
You're both prime candidates for social media. Like a good sense of humor.
I mean. We've got the elf on the shelf coming back soon, so.
There we go, yeah.
The elven and bread laser.
I'll plug in with a kill bomb here.
Yeah.
Hanging out in the refrigerator to see if it's alive.
All right, any other discussion on this item?
That logo that we came up with for September, was that just for promo days or is that forever and all?
No, I mean, we like the idea of trying to do something that is,
Make a patch and put it on.
do something that is green. I mean, ultimately, we can even get it screened on. We find the right backpack and the right company.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the more adulty one could be, you could have a tool bag, and instead of a backpack, it could be more of a tool bag, and that's something I would think Home Depot would definitely provide.
Yeah.
At their house brand tool bags.
We're on it. We'll kind of touch base with kind of some of these things you guys have talked about, the library, Home Depot, Sustainability Club. See if there's some ways we can kind of work together on some of these things. And we'll report back next meeting. And I'll take this to Public Works before we do anything, just as a kind of, like I said, the update. This is what the Sustainability Commission wants to do. And then when we move forward, like I said, Michael will be able to have this ready to go and start in the new year.
Fantastic. Right.
We check another box from our
Trying
list of priorities. All right, thanks very much for that. Next item is, my item, so plastic netting. This is just something that so, let's see, when it first kind of came to my attention when we were, there was that tour of Brentwood Bound that was some other entity, I can't remember who it was, a couple months ago.
done a lot.
It was,
I have another one tomorrow.
Well, the Green City, the city.
so, yes,
Yeah.
that one. And I was up there that day and something about the lighting or the time of year, like that whole grassy area that's kind of between the building and Brazo or whatever, like the road. You could just like see all this plastic that had been like caught up in the mower and like all the plastic netting. It's just like the grass was kind of dead and all you could see was just a webbing of plastic that looked pretty awful. And so that, and then like when I was planting those trees, like every time we dig a hole in Brentwood Park, they'll be going through the plastic. Because what they do is, when they're seeding or whatever, they like lay it down, just like when they're laying sod, a lot of times. I don't know, it holds it together better. So it's an erosion prevention kind of thing. I assume is why they had used it, but it's just it's totally unnecessary and just like adding plastic directly into the soil or into the environment. And then of course the netting itself, critters can get caught up in it. And, it's just bad look, and it's just there's there are better ways to do it if you're going for erosion control. So I had been meaning to reach out to the other some other municipalities to see if anyone else has done something like this, some kind of ordinance to that doesn't allow that kind of stuff. I did not get a chance to do that again, but I did find some things online. There's like a model ordinance, and then some other resources that kind of talk about the downsides and the alternatives, like what you can use instead. So I just wanted to bring that up to see if it's something that we wanted to look into further, actually pursue or not.
I think the question comes in my mind, there's two questions. One is this something you're looking to do for city staff, or you're trying to make it citywide? So I think if you want to talk about something as far as city staff, that's obviously something we can journal. I'll be honest, I got your email, and the first thing I did is talk to my staff, because we talk a whole lot about making sure we're buying great products and things like that. And if my staff came back, oh no, everything we buy is a great product and it is gradable. And then that led into a conversation with my staff about what the difference between biodegradable and degradable. And so that is something that was kind of the learning curve for them. And I think as far as within our city, we can easily make that change. It is, to my stats, try not to throw them under a bus at all. I mean, they did what they thought their name was going to do. They was looking for great products that was degradable. And then, once I kind of talked to our superintendent, like, hey, here's a biodegradable, goes back to the soil. Degradable, where it just breaks down into micro plastics. It's like, I've heard it's pretty smart. I've heard about microplastics. Yes. Yes, that is what this is. And so he was a tad bit, he and I are a tad bit embarrassed that happened, and I should do a better job of making sure my staff is doing everything, but I don't go out on every project that we put down.
No, I understand.
So, but I think they have a better understanding now. We'll do much better. You want to make that city-wide ban for like contractors and things like that. That would be, and I think that would rise up to the level of getting that to public works and thinking about an ordinance and things like that. Well, internally, we can easily do that.
So, I mean, I was thinking about it as a city, and I don't know how, I assumed that with Brentwood Park, like all the landscape, all the stuff was contracted. I'm assuming we didn't, city staff probably didn't self-form that stuff, like this was. So I was thinking, that this is something that city would, have in their bid specs or whatever, for all these projects is to not allow that kind of thing, and specify that
And
stuff.
that is, I think, you're exactly right. Like, what we do is we work on bid packages, is adding a section under our specification that's basically bringing and talks about anything that's biodegradable cannot be. It's a lot of what this is, but it's photodegradable, which is it breaks down
Okay.
in sunlight after a certain amount of time. Very articles. I learned a lot. So a lot of what you're seeing out there is photodegradable, so it does break down, but just breaks down into those microplastics that we're all eating and drinking and finding in our bodies now. So I think that is something that we can build in our specs pretty easily. We can talk to the city attorney if we want to have general kind of statement when we do anything, or if it's something that we just build in when we work with our architects and landscape architects, they're the ones that primarily put those specifications together.
Right.
That they do. So.
And I'm sure it was, I didn't think for a second that it was, intentional or anything. I just assumed there's just no mention, it's like the specs are probably silent on this stuff. And so it's not something anyone's really looking for.
And if you don't spec it, the contracts are gonna take the cheapest
So
one.
I'm just gonna go, or what they always do. Yeah, they're just gonna do it with bidding. So, yeah, that was my thought, was just making, specific mention of, what we allow, don't allow, this kind of thing.
Yeah, we're working on some bid specs now with our landscape architect, and I had a conversation with them about how we make sure that language is in our specifications, and then figure out if there's a good sort of verbiage that then we can give to Dan when he does projects, when every department does some sort of project to make sure. Those type of things are gonna primarily be landscaping, which probably be might be, but if we ever redid City Hall, there would be a landscape aspect too.
Sure.
So we could talk about those specs. So,
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, so aside from, when you're trying to see bare earth, when they're sod, a lot of times when they I worked for a sod company for a little bit, and typically you see a sod field and they lay the plastic, they do the same thing, but they lay all the plastic down before they seed everything, and so the sod you get has plastic in it, because it helps hold pieces of sod together. But so you can probably specify that, the sod non-plastic as well. It's just, a pet peeve. Says someone who digs a lot of holes.
understand
I hate seeing plastic all the time.
There are large parts of the park that have clear mats, and there's a lot of stuff that I learned along the way, and we had some issues with one of the landscapers, so. They put the Hoyer mat down wrong, so just, everybody should not walk away from this meeting thinking that it's all Brentwood Park has plastic, so there clearly are sections where it is, but it's vast. All the stuff along the creek, is the Hoyer mat stuff.
And the quarter map was bid specifically because of the biodegradable. So luckily we did kind of think about that section, but the good and bad about Brentwood Park is that each section of the park had a different contractor, different specification, a different landscape architect. So that's the only downside to the park. Luckily they all did a wonderful job. It does look like a cohesive park. But yeah, the people who did the trails, the people who did the pavilion, the people who did the playground. So it did that part, they kind of maybe lost a little bit of translation from different areas, but it is something we can easily come on to as we move forward, but then primarily for public works and park maintenance, just say, hey guys. Green, just because the company says they're green, it's a green project, doesn't always mean it's green. Here's what you have to look for. And that's just an educational staff.
One thing too, while we're talking about sod, that this is something that Brandon had actually mentioned to me, I never really had a chance to look into it, but he said that apparently a lot of sod comes from Franklin County, and there's like, it's like the lead belt down there. There's uh you know, bad levels of lead, it's just because the soil that they're using, they're planting in, it's. So I don't know, maybe that's something that could be looked into too, is if we're gonna have some specifications about sod requirements. I don't know if there's anything there, but you apparently had read something at some point and wanted that was, so yeah, where it comes from may be also something that we wanted to.
Try and look at both those things.
So, I mean, I don't know, is there anything uh more actionable here, or, do we?
I think it really depends again, if you wanna try to make this whole citywide, any contractor comes and does work on homes. Things like that, be going through planning development and. those
Yeah.
sort of things Versus making sure internally we do it, internally. Again, I don't think we need to do anything, it's just again, another kind of update for public works, I'll go to my update. But if it's citywide, that's more of a ordinance, and what we could do is. Do two routes and say, hey, this is what we wanna do for now. I can broach the idea of public works, see if that's something they wanna see as a further ordinance. If they're right off the bat saying no. Then maybe might just die there, but I do know that there's been sometimes. In the past, I won't say anyone who's sitting around this table was in the public works meeting at the committee at that time. But when we brought things that specifically talk about. Making ordinances about what the homeowners have to do.
Yeah,
They get very tentative about
Yeah.
saying, it is not our role to
Restricted,
tell,
yeah.
right? But for us, to do it internally, that's easy. But I can also reach out to other municipalities, like Webster Groves has a good, they have a good sustainability commission and do a lot of good, see if they have any specs and things like that. So I can do some of that side work on the end and on the other route.
How do the schools been?
They're
their own thing.
their own thing, right? They actually kind of. If I understand correctly, even in the planning development, we can suggest what to do, but they have some latitude on what they actually have to follow.
Cause I remember a lot of that from when I played soccer and you're always just like, what?
Yeah, it-
Please
that's-
catch
it gets
and you're,
caught
it's
on that stuff,
gross
yeah.
and you're like, why is it plastic on my field? It seems like that would be a good suggestion. Cause they do a lot. Of sodding. and
Bigger,
sodding
yeah.
and
Mhm.
Wonder if it'd be worth including on like a newsletter or something, like a FYI or like a sustainability spotlight, like, look out for. Or links to alternatives, instead of buying your sod with this, try this company or these, like, look for this wordage that shows that.
Right, I mean, we can easily on our sustainability page, talk about like, yeah, you wanna make sure your contractors that you're hiring in your home are more sustainable. Maybe use some of this language as you
Yeah.
reach out to them, that'd be,
That's a great idea.
we can easily do that.
Yeah.
I'll work on the language and then I'll get it to you,
Perfect.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, give people tools, but not dictate.
Yep.
Good topic, Andy.
Anything else? Anyone have a discussion?
A random question, do we do anything with pumpkins in Brentwood? Yeah, the following season, do we have any pumpkin collection?
We haven't,
I think we kind of late to already.
Yeah.
I think Earth Day 365 is doing pumpkin composting. I think you'd have to drop them off in the city, but if we wanna plan with people.
Yeah.
I could try and find a link and send. Oh,
Yeah, I've seen that before.
it's like, yeah, something
They do,
that exists
function.
locally, yeah. Someone.
Mine just goes.
Yeah.
like an easy, it's like an easy social media post, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, it's our day 365, we are found it right now. Yep.
And you could probably like say for, I mean, if it is something that can just be composted, all the families who already have composting.
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a great thing to do with your pumpkin, and if you don't have that, take it to the
Yeah,
plant.
compost bin is a little dry, like the stuff that is too dry, needs some more green, so yeah, some pumpkin
It's also
spice.
something
would go
you
well.
You make like a pumpkin spice latte joke, like. Pumpkin stuff.
Just FYI, I did submit our yearly report for the Green Cities Challenge, so
Oh,
we should get into information about that event soon. That's usually December, right? Right?
Well, it's spring.
That was great, yeah.
Was
I
it?
feel like I was wearing a
So I had a
dress.
city. My color scheme was.
Well, yeah.
They must do it in
pastel, so yes.
Okay, oh, so I should do that, so.
a good year. Stuff we could put in there, so.
So you're saying you already put together the bullet list of things and all that, okay?
Yep.
How we do?
I think we did pretty good. We have some good stuff, the new things, yeah.
Well, back to the plastic thing, so, let me know, again, we'll report back, I guess, on
Yeah.
where that goes. If we do have, whatever we do end up doing for the specs, I think that's something I'd like to share with the other municipalities that we
And my goal is to work with,
talk to, and
we have a meeting with our landscape architect this week on a different project. And so I can kind
and maybe they've got, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody just ask for it, maybe they go, oh yeah, we got some language you could put in there.
like we have great language for tree protection. So I think it could be very simple. If we don't build a green spec, honestly, it's
Yeah.
just.
It's all little,
Yeah.
or whatever. Well, thank you for doing that.
Happy to do it.
All right, anything else? Any other new business items anyone wants to bring up? Chris, anything from you?
No, I just have, do we have more Ripple glass bags? I would like to walk
I've
some
still got
around
some
my
more in
neighborhood.
garage left over from the parade. I
Yeah.
have like half a dozen or so that I returned, but yeah, I can get you. If you look, ask yourself.
Yeah, I'll just come over and rummage around in your garage.
I still got some of that wine left, so.
I'll text you.
Okay,
Thanks.
I can ask for lots for more bags. They're usually pretty good.
we gave away most of them at the parade, and we gave away a lot of flyers. I can't remember, we printed like 100 of those flyers about the trees, and so I need to think how many people would have showed up if we hadn't done that, like as part of the parade, but everyone seemed to be, it seemed to be pretty well received. I did hear one snide comment about handing out plastic bags. For what you're recycling. It had to be big, I had to ignore them.
Great, good spot.
All right, I think that's it then. Meeting, anything else? Final call? All right, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Is that on them?
Felt longer.
Get that out.